Hello, in this tutorial I will show you how to make this comic book of the Wolverine come alive using the Werble app as well as VideoShop editor. For all animations I do, the first step I take is to look at the image and decide which part you want to make come alive. There are several applications out there that you can download to make each of the pieces that you want to move transparent so will be a separate layer. The ones I use are Magic Eraser or Back Eraser, but there's several others out there. I'll be making a new tutorial in the near future on how to make transparent backgrounds. Okay, so let's begin. I've already prepared a lot of the pieces of the Wolverine, as you can see here, making them having transparent backgrounds. You want to do the claws as well as the arms for movement. I have the mouth so that we can make it look more realistic, and then of course the body. Next, I want to show you one of the best apps I've came across called Retouch. Retouch is a very important application to use when doing animation because it allows you to erase the images in which you want to make come alive and fills the background with similar color or features that it currently had as if it wasn't in the photo. This makes it super beneficial because when you are doing large movements, you'll have a more smooth transition rather than have big gaps of transparency. So all you do here is you highlight the area in which you want to erase. In this case, we're going to erase the whole Wolverine from the main image because we want to erase him since we already have all the pieces cut out. Once you highlight the entire area in which you want to be removed, you go ahead, hit the go button, and vanishing Wolverine is now gone, and it looks like he's never existed, and now you have a nice clean background to use. Cutting out all the images and making a clean background, you are now ready to start the animation. The Werble app is where all the magic comes into play with the animation, having built-in special effects and different tools to make the images move. There'll be a tutorial in the near future on how to use that app as well. Right now you can go in and you can look at which type of ratio that you want in order to display. In this case, we're going to do a 2x3 so that it shows the length of the whole image. Now you go in and you add each of the pieces that we made into separate layers and import them into the Werble app. As you can see here, now it looks like it's the entire photo that you originally had, but instead of just one dimension of an image, you now have several different layers to make it easy for animating. There's several different tools you can use in the Werble app. One of them, as I'm showing right now, is called Sharpen. And whenever I start an animation, I always like to go in and sharpen all the different layers to give it that more clean, crisp look. For better quality. For this animation, we're going to make the claws on Wolverine appear during the animation. So right now, I just selected the two layers that had the knives of the Wolverine and put blended so they're disappeared at the moment, and we'll make them reappear soon. The next critical tool that Werble has to offer is called the pulse effect. And this is where you can really get into the fine details and make different pieces of the image move. As you can see right now, I'm focusing on the mouth that we cut out earlier. And under mode, you have several different options of different effects to use. In this case, I'm going to be using the bulge distortion effect for the mouth so that it has that visualization of the mouth opening and closing. We will do that for each of the other layers of the Wolverine. For the arms and the body and the head, I use the one called Shift, and that allows movement up and down, left and right. based on the range and speed you choose. The pulse effect in the Werble app does have a learning curve. It does take a little bit to get familiar with how each one operates. The best way to do this, to really get a feel of understand how to use the pulse tool, is just to take a simple image and just experiment and play around with each of the effects. As you can see here, I'm trying to take the arm, the left arm, and moving it, I want slightly moving it down a bit so it looks like that he's charging. As you can see, certain parts of it are only moving, other parts aren't, so you need to find the range of where you want the arm to come down. And like I said, you just really got to play around with it until you're satisfied with the right piece that works for you. So this is where retouch comes in handy. When you have an image that you chopped up into different layers and you wanted to use the same background, if you didn't use the retouch to erase the image and have the back all fill in with the same background of the color red in this case, it would, if you were going to use an original file that you cut out, there would be some transparency behind the movement of the arms, which would give you only limited area to move, because if you moved it, you know, in a big amount of space, then you would be able to see the transparency background where you cut it out. So now we got the arms moving to the way we desire. I'm going to now select the second half of the body to so we can make that one move as well, to make the image look even more realistic, that it's moving towards the screen. Under the pulse effect tool, there's a speed as option as well as offset. The speed will give you how fast you want the movement to occur, and the offset will help offset the movement of the different image layers so that they don't all look like they're moving at the exact same speed. And this is really important if you have something that you want to have random speed, like floating bubbles. If you switch the offset per each bubble, then they look like they're randomly moving into different directions instead of all synced up at once. Now that the hard part is completed with making all the movements of the Wolverine, we're going to add some additional special effects to really make this image shine. There's an option here where we could put in explosion. There's several different packs you can go through. This one's from the Force Effects pack. It's a kind of a space a pack. I like to put this explosion in the background so it really looks like an action adventure video where it looks like the Wolverine is running from the explosion that just occurred. The next thing is there's a Halloween pack which has a lot of different features that you can use. In this case, there's one with dripping blood. I'm going to use that to come, so it has that visualization of its dripping blood from the top of the Wolverine sign. This gives it that more eerie look and feel to it, showing kind of how dangerous the Wolverine is. As you can see here, there's additional different types of bloods you can play around with. That one is a little too thick, so I'm not going to use that one. We'll use this one. It's a little more thinner. You want to take that image and put it in front of the layers of the Wolverine body. That way it shows up in the background and not the foreground. You just want to line it up to how you feel is most suited until you're comfortable with it. And then you can see how it's dripping down, but it's dripping behind him and not in front of him because this layer is in front. In the Halloween pack, there's also a splatted blood effect. This one is a great one to make just a little more design more realistic. So I'm going to use that on the top of the Wolverine magazine and kind of fade it, blend it a little, fade it so it has that transparency, but it looks like blood stains. So now that we got the Wolverine moving, we have the explosion in the background, we have the blood dripping from the top. We're getting close to finalizing our Werble piece of the animation. A lot of times when I'm doing an animation like this, I just start playing around and looking through each of the different packs that Werble has to offer, and then just kind of play around with them and see what works. Here, there's an effect called a pack called Light Looks, and this one I use almost for every animation I do as well. It has different lighting that you can choose from, darkness, bright, color adjustment. So in this case, we'll use this color just to give it that extra little light movement. And here's some additional tools that Werble has. You can change the background to make it a little darker. You can use camera motions of what the amplitude and frequency is. You just got to play around with it until it satisfies the needs that you're looking for. So now that the Werble's completed, now we're going to do the fun part of taking the Werbles and making them into an animated video. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the claws, and we're going to bring them back by selecting the blending and enabling it to full so you can see the actual claws there now. Now, as you see, when we did the arms with the pulse tool, we didn't include the claws, so they're not in sync with the arms. So what we need to do is select the pulse effect where you selected the arm, and also select the claw on that side of the arm so that they're both selected. That way, as you can see now, they're moving at the same speed and the same direction. So we have the arm that was currently moving using the pulse tool. We've now selected the claws on the left side and combined the two so that they have the same movement as the original. Now, one of the things you need to do is you may need to adjust the range because you need to make sure the range is covering both the arm as well as the claws. Make it a little bigger, because if you only cut part, then part of the claw won't be moving. Do that to the other side, and now you got the nice flow movement with the arms to the claws. All right, the next part is where VideoShop or iMovie, any type of editor, comes in play. First, what we're going to do is make the claws blended again so that they disappear in the original file. We'll save that Werble. I usually do it 6 to 10 seconds. We can adjust later. And then now we're going to take each stage of the claws and we're going to save it as different Werbles. So the first one I moved over about a third of the way. We'll save it as 2-second image. Now we're going to add some more blending, so it's about halfway through. We're going to save another Werble image. I do 2 seconds. That's the minimum that Werble allows, but we'll adjust that later in VideoShop. And then we will do it one more time where they finally appear all together. So we have now 4 different Werbles. We have one is the main Werble, and we have 3 mini Werbles that we'll be taking into a video editor. So now that we have the 4 Werble videos, we're going to go into VideoShop and hit Import Clip. We're going to go and we're going to select the videos that we just created, import those in, and then we're going to go to each of the video clips and we're going to trim each video clip so that it has that nice smooth animation feeling. The first one we selected, the main one, we had 10 seconds. I'm going to chop it down to about 5 seconds. If you have too long, then you're going to lose the audience and then they won't see the rest of the video. For the little Werbles, you want to cut it down anywhere between 0.2 seconds and 0.05. 0.05 is the fastest that you can do, and that's really good when you're doing really quick movements. And as you can see right here, I'm taking the trimming down the speed a little more of each of the tiny Werbles so that we can make sure that the claws are coming down at a fairly rapid speed so it doesn't look choppy. So now you watch it, and here they come. So we're going to go in and just adjust it a little more because it was a little choppy. If we do it to the minimum speed of 0.05 seconds, you can see now when it displays that they come out a lot more smoother and looks more realistic. So last part, just want to go into the main Werble where the arm movement is going. Slightly trim this a little so that the movement of the arms is going down in sync with when the claws reappear. So as you can see here, 1, 2, coming down, 3 opens up, and now you have the claws. Now we're going to go back into Werble and we're going to create the next set of the animation where we're going to make the Wolverine look like he's coming out of the screen. So first you select all the pieces of the Wolverine, all the layers, select them all, and then slightly make it bigger, the image is bigger as like it's coming toward the screen. We're going to save that as another 2-second Werble. And then we're going to go back, we're going to take the blend it about halfway through so it looks like he's fading as he's coming towards us. We're going to repeat the process, make him even bigger so it looks like he's running and jumping out of the screen. We're going to save that as a second 2-second Werble. And then the next step is this time we're going to blend it almost all the way. We're going to make him even larger so it looks like he's fading off the screen. And we will save that as another Werble. I'm just putting about 6 seconds here, or 2 seconds for that one as well. This one, blending it all the way so he's completely vanished. I'm going to save this one as a 6-second video. We'll adjust it later, but it gives me the idea of the animation pieces up to that are is completed. Now we're just going to take, highlight the blood. We're just going to blend that a little so it doesn't look like the blood is standing out. We'll just kind of blend it in with the background. The more layers you have, the more longer time it's going to render the videos as well. So now we have the entire Wolverine has jumped out of the screen. We're going to take this option here. You can start fading it as I do with a lot of my videos. You want to have kind of an ending. So I'll do the same process. I'll select this feature and we'll make it a little darker. Save it as another Werble so it's fading, kind of like a transition of a fade to black type of image so that you know when the video is ending. With all my videos, I always like to have little surprise endings or little cool features at the end. So in this case, we're going to go back to the Halloween pack. There's this cool claws feature that comes with it. Looks like Wolverine arms. We're going to add that to this clip. And this effect automatically takes the claws and scrapes down. So we will save that, put it into our last Werble file, and then we'll go back to our editor and trim each of these pieces. So when making animated Werbles with additional movements, you can really use any type of video editor. I've used iMovie before. I love using VideoShop. These are all apps that you can use on your phone or iPad that you can download from the App Store. So now that we've loaded in the additional pieces of the Werbles that we just made, we're going to go into each of these pieces. We're going to trim them down so that the movement of the Wolverine coming toward the screen will be a nice smooth feeling towards it. You repeat and do the same thing for each of these steps. This is the last one, so I don't want to do 0.5 seconds. I want to leave a couple seconds hanging there so that the audience can see the background that he's now gone. We'll now trim the shadowing. We'll go to the claws. We'll trim the claws so it just looks like it's coming down with one scrape and not repeating itself. And there you have it. We are done. Let's preview the video here. 3 seconds, comes down with the claws. A couple seconds later, he's going to run towards the screen. Disappears in midair. You got the explosion with the dripping blood and the claws at the end. Finally, to make your video stand out, I always love adding music and sound effects to it, and here's the end results. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, link below, to see future tutorials and other animation that I've done. You can also go to my Instagram account at henchman2018 to see all my other artwork and great animation. If you felt this tutorial was very helpful, please hit the like button, and if you had any comments, please comment down below.